Hi family, it's African Esquire and I'm here with a new video. Before I get started, if you're interested in being a part of an organization that is going to be Pan-Africanist and Black nationalist, and that is the organization Afro-American Unity, as was started by Malcolm X, you can find the link to that the Facebook group in the description box. In addition, my email is down below if you'd like to email me specifically letting me know whether or not you're just interested in membership or if you're interested in leadership as well. In addition, if you're interested in receiving news updates in regard to Pan-African issues, you can join the group Pan-African News Press, which is also in the description box. So what I want to talk about is Michael Bennett and just the weird, crazy charges that he is getting for something that he supposedly did over a year ago. So if you don't know who Michael Bennett is, I would say, especially since Colin Kaepernick is essentially not on the team right now, that he is the most vocal, the most unapologetic, the most just stand-up person as far as people in the NFL, who was very early to support Kaepernick, has always consistently supported Black causes, and is just very, vocal about the issues in the Black community. And he's essentially known for that at this point. And if you remember, I believe it was last summer, he called out the Las Vegas police for arresting him, and essentially called the rest racist and called them racist. And that, of course, pissed off a lot of the Blue Lives Matter crew. And so he has a distaste in white America. If you ever want to know if someone has a distaste in white America, you could do two things. You could go to an article on yahoo.com. I don't know why Yahoo, but for some reason on these articles, the people who they draw to them tend to be people who are going to tell you what they really think. And always on the Yahoo articles, it's so interesting. I'm always interested to know how the psyche of racism works. And so if you look at what these people will say when they don't have their face posted, but they'll have, their words posted, and they'll very honestly let you know if they think that you are inferior, if they think that you are stupid, if they think that Black people are stupid, if they think Black people are welfare queens. They'll let you know what they really think on Yahoo for some reason. And also on Twitter, you can find a lot of that same honesty. And if you look on, I looked on Twitter while I was researching these charges against him, and what you see is a lot of people, white people in particular, really do not like Michael Bennett, probably as much as Colin Kaepernick. So it's not a surprise that the white community, and particularly the Trump-supporting white community, the Blue Lives Matter white community, have a distaste for Michael Bennett. But the weird thing is that he's being charged with something a year after it supposedly happened. Over a year. And that is that at the Super Bowl, not this past one, but the one last year, that he supposedly was going to run out on the field and celebrate the win with his brother. However, he was stopped by some security people. And supposedly, he basically was like, I don't care what y'all say, I'm still going, and went through the door, unlocking it, which was supposedly against the rules. However, the people who were the security people, one of the persons was a 66-year-old paraplegic person who says that he harmed her by brushing up against her or pushing her. I don't really see the harm personally, but it's weird because there were cops on the scene when this happened, and these are essentially the only witnesses for this crime, and these same cops did not arrest him when they seen it happen and Brenner was right in front of them. So instead, these cops who seen this horrible, horrible crime happen decided to wait a year before they even arrested charged Michael Bennett. Not only that, despite the fact that this was in a stadium where there was multiple cameras, video footage, cameras everywhere, for some reason, this incident just happened not to be caught on camera. And this is essentially, now Michael Bennett essentially has been addicted and he has to surrender eventually. So it's just odd to me on a number of levels. I try not to be a conspiracy theorist whenever I have nothing to go off of. However, and I try to consider the fact that it's not like this is the Las Vegas police doing this. This is the Texas police. But I can't ignore the fact that police in general, the police unions in general, are really not a fan of Michael Bennett. I also just can't ignore the crazy, whack charges. I mean, how did you even get this charge? We have black men getting killed on video, and you can't get an indictment. But you have this thing that did not happen in a stadium that supposedly happened in a stadium where there's supposedly a lot of cameras, but this wasn't caught on camera. And then it was supposedly him harming or touching or pushing something, a older woman, and the police were there when it happened, but they didn't arrest him when it happened. And instead, they wait till a year later, and then now they want to arrest him. And my other thought is, what is Michael Bennett doing in that? I haven't heard much from him in a minute. So is he doing something like trying to do something with the black community that is very controversial that made them do this now? I mean, I really don't get why now. Is the statute of limitations about to run up and they were holding on to this like, okay, let's wait for a good moment. And it's like, well, we're not going to get this moment. Let's just do this now. I mean, there's no logical explanation for this other than understanding those of us who do choose to go into these spaces that are run by the capitalists or run by these industries and institutions. We have to understand, and I think Michael Bennett does understand because he's been very upfront and vocal about these things. But we have to know by now that at the end of the day, whenever we enter these spaces, that we are risking a lot whenever we stand and are clear about our stance for our people. And that can essentially risk you your career, which to me, if you're doing the right thing and it costs you your career, is that something to be praised for? Is that I think it's something to be praised for if you stood for what's right. And the other alternative would be to be quiet when you know it's the right thing to do, but doing it for self and instead of for community. That's what they want to encourage these athletes to do. I mean, I think especially since Colin Kaepernick, I don't know what's going to go on with him. It looks like he's kind of faded away. And it's probably going to leave the conscience of a lot of people as far as thinking about, well, what's going on with Colin? What's going on with him? But now that we've seen that there are straight up consequences as far as what these people will do to you if you decide to stand up for your people. And not only are there consequences, but they expect you to essentially allow these things to happen and not have any voice or opinion about it. And if that to them is the right thing to do. If you do that, we'll give you money, we'll make you happy. You can have endorsements, you can have, entrance into these fancy parties, you can have this fun life, you can have all these things if you just keep quiet. And I think that this is a stronger reinforcement of that message to athletes, that essentially you really are risking a lot if you do stand for your people. However, understand that at some point or another, this stuff has to end. Racism, capitalism, exploitation, it just is not set up to go on forever. And when it does end, if you are around when that happens, understand that you will be remembered for your allegiance to the people who are most at need. In spite of your position of prominence, you still cared more about the collective and instead of about the individual. Those things I do believe count, and I do think will count towards you if you do decide to make that stance. So those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts about these crazy charges against Michael Bennett? Are you surprised as me? I mean, I have no idea why this came now. Like I said, I don't know if he's doing some revolutionary stuff that we don't see, and that's why they said, all right, let's do this now. I have no clue. But I love to see your comments, and I will see you in the next video.